Hey guys, it's Max and Pickle and Sprout. Pickle is right here next to me, kind of chilling. Sprout is behind, playing around in the blankets. So we'll see how this video goes, but he's probably going to be a little bit wild. Pickle likes to just hang out and rest, and Sprout has all that energy. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm here today with more answers, hopefully, for your questions. You guys have been submitting them on Instagram at pickle.the.pig, so just at pickle.the.pig with dots in between. If you're not following it, make sure to go ahead and follow it and submit questions that way, just via direct message. So I have done one of these before, and now I'm going to answer 5 more questions that were submitted. The first question is from, I'm probably going to butcher all of these names, Rachel Herrero, I think. She was asking about females versus male pigs. So I think it's more about their family, the genetics, and how they are raised and socialized and all that versus just male and female. So I know somebody that has both, and the female is pretty calm when it comes to like getting her nails trimmed and things like that, when the male is very antsy and a little bit crazier. But I've also heard that females in general are typically the crazier ones. So I think it sort of just depends on which particular pig you have as to if it's going to be a little bit more calm or have a lot of energy, or if it's going to be hard to keep up with or a little bit easier to manage. So I've really heard both about females and males, but I just have 2 males, obviously. I think one of the big things to remember is definitely to spay or neuter them either way. So that is really not necessarily the fact that they're male or female, but if they're intact or not, that plays a lot into their personality. So definitely get them spayed or neutered. If not, they'll be a lot harder to manage. So hopefully that answers your question. The second one is from Feed Platts, I think. Probably butchered that as well, but this account was asking about different sounds for different situations. So yes, they have different sounds. As you can see, Sprout is kind of making just a general little noise right now where he's sort of just grumpy-ish sounding. I think he just wants to either get under the blankets or get down or something. So a lot of times they just make that tiny little grunting noise when they're just walking around, or if they're maybe a little bit frustrated. They will make a lot deeper sounds. Like, for instance, if I'm outside with Pickle and he's rooting in the grass and really is trying to get at something and I try to pull him away, he will get pretty angry, and his demeanor and his the sounds that he makes will get a lot deeper, just like a super, super loud deep grunt. So that's when I know that he's definitely not happy. That does not happen very much. When you pick them up, sometimes they'll be a little bit, and this probably wants my ear apparently, they'll make sounds that are a little bit more high-pitched, like that squeal that you might associate with pigs. So yeah, if you pick them up incorrectly and just grab them from the ground, from their stomach, they might make a loud squealing noise, and that can be super, super loud, just depending on the pig. But yeah, so high-pitched noises, a lot of times if they're upset about something or scared, sort of medium tone noises if they're just kind of walking around or maybe a little bit aggravated with the situation, trying to find food or something like that. And then deeper noises when they're upset about something. So that's how my pigs are. I'm not sure about every pig, but you'll hear those grunting noises a lot no matter what, even if they're just eating. So that's kind of a general thing that you sort of hear Sprout doing right now. The third question is from E. Chisholm the second or 11. I can't even read my writing. So yeah, E. Chisholm, somebody was asking about pet peeves and annoyances. So this is a really interesting question. Hi, Sprout. So they'll do this a lot where they just are very curious about you and like want to nudge at you and smell you and all that. So bigger pet peeves and annoyances, I would say, I vaguely talked about this in another video, but they just love to push stuff around. So I could have a chair in the corner of my room and then jump into the shower, and when I come out, the chair is knocked over. Whatever is on the chair is no longer on the chair, it's on the ground. They love drawers, so my drawers in my bedroom, they will use their nose and kind of push into those by the handle and open them up, and they could take the entire drawer off its hinges. So anything with their nose, I mentioned this in another video, you might have to kind of proof your house before you even get a pig to make sure there's nothing bad that they can get into, but they love to just get into stuff. They're super smart and super curious, and they love to do that and just explore. So I would say the biggest annoyance is just that you sort of have to make sure you don't have stuff on the ground that they can easily get into. And then, you might have cabinets that are open, drawers that are open, and something that you just have to get used to. So nothing crazy. I mean, a lot of pigs are way more destructive than mine. It's sort of how they're raised and how you treat them as to how they're going to act back. So they don't really get into too much trouble, but I would say that's one little pet peeve that I have. And this actually, the fourth question ties into this. So Rogue CJD was asking about the biggest mess that I've encountered. Definitely if they pull a drawer out and there's paper or something in there, they're likely to shred up the paper. If there's a chair, like I said, and something on it and that tips over, that's likely to be a mess. I would say one of the biggest daily messes though is their litter box. So their litter box, they keep their areas super clean. Pigs are often thought of as really dirty animals just because there's that association with the mud, even though they roll in mud to cool off. They're actually super clean. So they like their living spaces to be clean. Their bed and their water, they have to have fresh water. They want everything to be clean. But the litter in the litter box does track around a lot. So since I said they like to push stuff with their nose, they might get in the litter box, and when they're doing their business, they might move some around with their nose and then it falls out of the box, or they might have some on their hooves that tracks around into the laundry room after they use their box. So the litter is definitely, even though it's in a box, it's not always contained in there. So that is kind of messy. Every day when I clean that up, I sort of just have to use a little broom and put whatever has come out onto the floor back into the box. So that's just a daily mess. Biggest mess, I would say, the paper. If they've gotten into a drawer, they'll definitely shred that, and they've done that a couple times and gotten into trouble. So, do you remember that, Pickle? He's being really good, and Sprout is being crazy. The last question is from Smile You've Got Megan. So she was asking about training tips. So this is sort of the biggest thing with pigs, is that they're really smart, but a lot of people have questions about how to train them because they just kind of act and learn differently than dogs. Whereas a dog you might throw something and they fetch it. When you do that with a pig, they're not really interested. They would rather push a ball around with their nose. They don't really want to grab it and bring it back to you and have you throw it again. So that's something that's a little bit different with, them playing. But in terms of training them, it's very similar to dogs in that they're motivated by food, probably more so than any other animal. They're very, very motivated by food. So if they do something, reward them immediately and then have them do it again, and then reward them with food, some type of snack. So I'll give them raisins or Cheerios or things like that. So that immediate reward is super important. And that's what I feel like most people use for training pigs, is just food, because they'll do anything for that. So sitting, spinning, putting up their paw or hoof or whatever, they will learn that super, super fast. I feel like Pickle is making some noises behind me where it means that he's about to yawn, and it'll be super cute if he does. So we'll see if he does that. But yeah, they'll do those little tricks like I was just mentioning, and learn them super fast if they have food as a reward. So that's the biggest thing I would say. Also, walking them on leashes is another thing that's sort of different than dogs, where a dog might just get on a leash and walk and be fine with it. That's something that I've learned they have to be rewarded just to get in their leash and then actually walk. I've had to use food to sort of entice them to walk on it, because they don't necessarily want to do that. They're a little bit more stubborn and kind of want to do what they want to do. So they will learn, though. They're super, super smart, and that's probably why they don't do some of what we're training them to do, because they just realize they don't have to unless they get a reward. So hopefully that kind of answered your question. I am going to go in another video. I'm going to go into more detail about the leash and harness specifically that I use, and some of the other stuff that brands that I love that have really helped in that process. So that will hopefully teach you more. So that is the end of the 5 questions. As I said before, make sure to submit on Instagram. So @PickleThePig with dots in between, and you can just direct message me. I try to answer as many things as possible, but I may not be able to answer all the questions. I'm taking about 5 at a time for these videos. So if you don't get something answered right away, it might be answered in a future video, but just keep sending stuff in, because I think these videos have been really helpful to people that are trying to learn, and it's partially because of you guys submitting the questions and being really involved in the accounts. So thank you so much, and hopefully you enjoyed this. Pickle didn't yawn, unfortunately. It's really cute when he does, and Sprout is still just trying to get down or get a snack or something. So hopefully you guys had fun, and Pickle and Sprout say bye, and that's it. So have a good day. Thanks.